The workout that exposed Houston's biggest problem. Kevin Durant just stepped into a gym with Paolo Banchero. And somehow, one simple offseason workout may have exposed the biggest question hanging over the Houston Rockets, because this was not just another summer clip of two NBA stars getting shots up. This was Kevin Durant, the veteran superstar Houston is counting on to lead a championship push, working side by side with the franchise player of the Orlando Magic, while the young Rockets who actually need his guidance were nowhere to be seen. And the moment Kendrick Perkins saw that footage, he did not treat it like harmless offseason content. He treated it like a warning sign. Perkins looked at that video and saw something much deeper than footwork, counters, and separation moves. He saw Durant pouring wisdom into Paolo Banchero, a rising star on another team, while Houston's own young core is still waiting for that same visible investment. Names like Alperen, Sengun, and Jabari Smith Jr. are not just random teammates, they are two players. The Rockets need to grow fast if this Durant experiment is going to become anything more than another expensive first-round disappointment. And that is why this story hits so hard around the league. Players train with rivals all the time. Nobody is pretending that NBA stars should lock themselves away from everyone outside their own roster. But context changes everything. Durant is not entering a normal season. He is entering a season where Houston has already bet big on him, where the front office has chosen continuity, and where the pressure is no longer about talent. It is about trust. Last season already left questions behind. The alleged burner account drama, the reported comments about teammates, the playoff frustration, the injury timing, the first round exit. All of it created a cloud over Durant's first year in Houston. So when the first viral image of his summer is not him building chemistry with Sengun, not him helping Jabari sharpen his game, but him mentoring somebody else's franchise cornerstone, people are going to talk. That is the real story. Not whether Durant is allowed to train with Paolo. Of course he is. The real question is whether Durant understands what Houston needs from him now. The Rockets do not just need 26 points per night. They need leadership. They need connection. They need their young players to believe the biggest name in the locker room is actually invested in them. So now the spotlight is on KD. Was this just one innocent workout clip blown out of proportion? Or was Kendrick Perkins pointing at a real problem before the season even begins? Where are you watching from right now? If you think Perkins is overreacting, press 1 inch. The comments, if you think KD needs to mentor his own Rockets teammates first, press 2. And if you want more NBA drama, trades, and locker room stories like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel before this season gets even crazier. Perkins saw more than a gym clip. What made Kendrick Perkins' reaction so powerful was not that he criticized Kevin Durant. Perkins has never been afraid to speak directly, especially when it comes to players he knows personally. What made this different was the target of his criticism. He was not talking about shot selection, defense, or playoff numbers. He was talking about responsibility. Perkins saw Durant training with Paolo Banchero and immediately connected it to Houston's unfinished business. In his eyes, the same mentorship KD was giving to a young superstar in Orlando should have been aimed at the players wearing Rockets jerseys. That is why he named Alperen, Sengun, and Jabari Smith Jr. Specifically, those two names carry weight inside Houston's future. Sengun is not just a skilled big man anymore. He is one of the players Houston needs to build around. A center with vision, touch, toughness, and the kind of offensive creativity that can change a playoff series. Jabari Smith Jr. is different. His future is still being shaped. He has the length, shooting ability, and defensive tools to become a major piece, but he still needs confidence, structure, and belief from the veterans around him. That is where Durant comes in. When a player like KD walks into a locker room, he does not just bring scoring. He brings history, MVP trophies, championship experience, finals, battles, Olympic moments. Every young player watches how he works, how he prepares, how he responds to pressure. So when that kind of player appears more visible, mentoring another team star than his own younger teammates, the optics become impossible to ignore. Perkins was not saying Durant did something illegal. He was saying Durant may have missed the bigger assignment. Houston does not need KD to become a personal trainer for every young player in the league. Houston needs him to become the bridge between superstar expectations and young player development. Without that bridge, the Rockets are just a talented roster with unanswered questions. And in the NBA, Unanswered questions do not stay quiet for long. The shadow from last season. The reason this workout became controversial is because it landed on top of something Houston never fully erased. Last season, Durant's first year with the Rockets was not only judged by points, minutes, and playoff results. It was also shaped by a cloud of tension around his relationship with the young core. The alleged burner account situation changed the entire conversation. Screenshots started circulating from an unverified account that many fans believed was connected to Durant. The messages reportedly took aim at Rockets players, including Sengun and Jabari Smith Jr. The language was harsh enough that people around the NBA could not simply brush it off as harmless internet noise. Durant never clearly confirmed it. He never gave the kind of full explanation that would have closed the story completely either. Instead, he dismissed the situation as social media nonsense and tried to redirect attention back to basketball. On one level, that is understandable. Star players deal with rumors every day, but inside a locker room, silence does not always heal things. Sometimes silence just pushes the problem under the floor until it starts shaking the whole building. That is what made Perkins' comments hit harder. He was not reacting to one clip in isolation. He was reacting to the same two young players being involved again. This time by absence. First, Sengun and Jabari were tied to the messiest rumor around Durant's first season in Houston. No, they were the players fans did not see when KD was publicly giving elite mentorship to someone else. That kind of pattern becomes dangerous for a team trying to win. Talent can get you into the playoffs, but trust decides how far you go once the games get ugly. When shots stop falling, when injuries happen. When a team goes down in a series, players have to believe in each other. They have to know the veteran star is not just sharing the court with them, but standing with them. That is the part Houston cannot fake. The Rockets can say the drama is behind them. Durant can say he is focused on the season, but until the young core feels fully connected to him, the questions will remain. Houston bet everything on chemistry. The Rockets did not bring Kevin Durant to Houston just to sell jerseys or create headlines. They brought him in because they believed he could turn a young, talented roster into a real championship threat. That kind of move changes the timeline overnight. Before Durant, Houston could talk about patience. They could talk about growth, development, and building slowly. After Durant, patience became a luxury. When a future Hall of Famer joins a young team, the entire organization starts moving under a different clock. Every season matters. Every playoff run matters. Every chemistry issue becomes bigger than it looks. That is why this offseason feels so important. Houston has not completely rebuilt the roster. They have not torn the team apart. They have chosen to run it back with key pieces and trust that continuity can fix what went wrong. That is a bold bet, but it only works if the relationships inside the team actually improve. Durant can still score with anyone in the league. That is not the concern. Even deep into his career, his jump shot remains one of the most unstoppable weapons basketball has ever seen. He can get to his spots, rise over defenders, and give Houston 25 or 30 on nights when the offense looks broken. But scoring alone did not save the Rockets last year. It did not prevent the first-round exit. It did not answer the questions about fit. The next step has to be bigger than buckets. Houston needs Durant to make the game easier for Sengun. They need him to help Jabari Smith Jr. grow into his role. They need him to set a tone where the young players do not feel like accessories to his career, but partners in the team's mission. That difference matters. A championship locker room is not built only in playoff huddles. It is built in quiet workouts, film room conversations, defensive possessions in January, and moments when veterans show young players that they matter. That is why Perkins' criticism felt so specific. He was pointing at the foundation, not the highlight. And if Houston's foundation is not strong, the whole season could crack under pressure. Why Paolo Banchero changed the conversation. Paolo Banchero is not the villain in this story. In fact, his presence is part of what made the video so interesting. He is one of the brightest young stars in the NBA. A powerful forward with ball handling, scoring touch, and the confidence to become the face of a franchise. For him, working with Kevin Durant makes perfect sense. If you are Paolo, you study KD because KD is one of the greatest scoring forwards ever. You watch his footwork, his counters, his patience, his ability to create space without wasting motion, a young player like Banchero can learn more from one detailed Durant workout than from 100 regular shooting sessions. That is why the clip looks so valuable, but that is also exactly why Perkins reacted, because if Durant can give that knowledge to Paolo, he can give it to Houston's own players. If he can show Banchero how to separate in 3 dribbles or less, he can show Jabari Smith Jr. how to punish closeouts with more control. If he can work through counters with an Orlando star, he can help Sengun understand where his scoring windows open when defenses load up in the playoffs. The issue is not that Paolo received help. The issue is that the public did not see Houston's young core receiving the same energy. In today's NBA, perception moves fast. A short video can create a week of debate. A single offseason clip can become evidence in a larger argument. That may not always be fair, but it is real. Durant knows that better than almost anyone. His career has been shaped not only by greatness, but by constant public interpretation. Every move he makes gets analyzed, praised, criticized, or turned into a debate. That is the price of being Kevin Durant. And that is why Houston fans are watching closely. They are not angry because KD worked out with Paolo. They are nervous because they want to believe he is fully locked in with their team. After years of rebuilding, Houston finally has enough talent to dream bigger. But dreams do not become banners unless the biggest star in the room is committed to everyone in that room right now. That commitment is the question people are asking. The leadership test Durant cannot avoid. Leadership in the NBA is not always loud. It is not always a speech before a playoff game or a dramatic moment caught on camera. Sometimes leadership is simple. Who do you call in the offseason? Who do you invite to the gym? Who do you pull aside after practice? Who do you protect when the outside noise gets ugly? That is the test Kevin Durant is facing in Houston. Nobody can question his talent. Nobody can question his work ethic. Nobody can question whether he loves basketball. Durant has spent his entire career proving that the game matters deeply to him. He studies it, practices it, argues about it, and still plays with the hunger of someone chasing respect every night. But leadership is different from skill. Skill is about what you can do. Leadership is about what you can bring out of others. That is where Houston needs more from him. Sengun needs a superstar teammate who believes in his unique style, not just someone who shares possessions with him. Jabari needs a veteran who can help him understand how to stay confident when his role changes from game to game. The entire Rockets roster needs Durant to be more than the final option in a half-court set. They need him to be the emotional anchor when pressure arrives. Kendrick Perkins knows this because he has been inside real NBA locker room. He understands that great teams are not always the teams with the most talent. They are the teams where roles are clear. Trust is strong, and veterans know when to lift young players instead of leaving them to figure everything out alone. That is why his criticism felt personal, but not empty. Perkins was not just chasing a hot take, he was challenging Durant to become the version of himself Houston needs. And here is the hardest part for KD. He cannot answer this with words. He has already dismissed enough drama in his career. He has already told reporters he is focused on basketball. At this point, the only response that matters is action. Train with the young guy. Build the connection. Show the locker room. Show the league. Show Houston that this is not just another stop in a legendary career. Show them this team actually mattered. The Rockets' young core is watching everything. For young players, veterans can shape more than a season. They can shape an entire career. That is why the Durant situation matters so much for Sengun and Jabari Smith Jr. They are not finished products. They are still learning what they can become under real pressure. Sengun has already shown flashes of star-level impact. His passing from the center position gives Houston a different offensive identity. He can score inside, create for cutters, read double teams, and make defenses uncomfortable. But in the playoffs, every weakness gets targeted. If he is going to become a true championship big, he needs every advantage he can get. Durant's experience could help him understand spacing, timing, patience, and how to attack when defenses shrink the floor. Jabari's situation is even more delicate. He has the physical tools every team wants. Size, shooting touch, defensive potential, and the ability to fit next to stars, but potential can become frustrating if a player does not feel trusted. For someone like Jabari, a few off-season sessions with Durant could mean more than just skill development. They could build belief. That is why visible mentorship matters. It sends a message. It tells young players, you are part of this. It tells them the star veteran sees their growth as connected to his own success. Without that, a locker room can become divided without anyone saying it publicly. And Houston cannot afford quiet division. The Western Conference is too ruthless. Every team is hunting. Every playoff series becomes a battle of adjustments, toughness, and emotional control. If the Rockets walk into that environment with unresolved trust issues, they will eventually be exposed. Maybe not in October, maybe not in December, but when the lights get bright, whatever is weak inside a team always comes to the surface. That is what Perkins is warning about. He is not saying one workout will destroy Houston's season. He is saying one workout may reveal where the work still needs to happen. The Rockets need Durant scoring. Yes, but they also need his presence. They need him to pull the young core closer, not leave people wondering where they stand. Because in a championship chase, wondering is dangerous. Trust has to be built before the pressure arrives. Why the internet split down the middle? The reaction to Perkins' comments divided fans almost immediately because both sides had a... Durant's defender said the entire controversy was ridiculous. NBA players train with opponents every summer. Superstars share gym. Young players learn from older players across team lines. That has been part of the league culture for years. From that angle, Perkins looked like he was reaching. Why turn a normal offseason workout into a national debate? Why criticize Durant for helping a young star improve? Why assume he has not also worked with Rockets teammates privately? Just because a workout is not posted online does not mean it never happened. That is the strongest defense of KD, but the other side saw something different. They saw a star player entering a season where leadership is already under the microscope. They saw two young teammates tied to past controversy. They saw Houston betting on chemistry after a disappointing playoff exit. And then they saw Durant publicly giving mentorship to a player who will not help the Rockets win one game next season. That is why the debate became so loud. This story sits in the gray area, where nothing is technically wrong, but everything feels connected. Durant did not break a rule. Banchero did not do anything wrong. Perkins did not invent the idea that Houston needs stronger internal chemistry. Everyone is looking at the same situation, but they are reading different meanings into it. That is what makes sports drama so powerful. It is rarely just about what happened. It is about what people believe it reveals. For some fans, the clip revealed generosity, KD, helping the next generation, a legend sharing knowledge with a young star. For others, it revealed misplaced priorities, a veteran giving another franchise the kind of attention his own locker room needs. And the truth may be somewhere in the middle. Durant may have meant nothing by it. Perkins may still be right that the optics are bad. Both things can be true. The problem for Houston is that championship teams do not want gray areas around trust. They want clarity. They want every player to know who is invested, who is leading, and who is locked in right now. Durant still has time to create that clarity, but the clock is already ticking. The season will decide the truth. At some point, the talking stops and the games begin. That is when every argument about Kevin Durant, Kendrick Perkins, and the Rockets will either look overblown or prophetic. If Houston starts strong, if Sengun looks comfortable next to Durant, if Jabari Smith Jr. takes a real leap, and if the Rockets look connected on both ends, this offseason debate will fade quickly. Fans will look back at the Banchero workout and laugh at how much attention it received. Perkins will still have made his point, but the results will soften the criticism. Winning has a way of rewriting everything. But if Houston struggles, this video will come back. If the offense looks disconnected, if young players seem unsure of their roles, if Durant becomes isolated from the rest of the group, people will point to this moment as an early sign. They will say the warning was there before the season started. They will say Perkins saw the issue before everyone else wanted to admit it. That is the dangerous part for Durant. He has built one of the greatest individual careers in basketball history, but the conversation around him has always been bigger than numbers. People debate his decisions, his team choices, his online presence, his leadership style, and his relationship with teammates, fair or not. That has become part of the KD story. Houston gives him a chance to change the tone. This could be the season where Durant becomes the veteran leader who helps a young team grow into a contender. It could be the season where he shows that his value is not only in mid-range jumpers and late-game scoring, but in the way he raises the ceiling of everyone around him. If he does that, the Rockets become dangerous. But if the same questions follow him again, the criticism will only get louder. Perkins has already placed the challenge in public. The fans have already picked sides. The young players are already watching. Now Durant has to decide what kind of chapter he wants this Houston story to become. Because legacies are not only built by what a player scores, they are also built by what he leaves behind and the people who played beside him. What Durant and Houston must learn from this. The real lesson from this entire situation is not that NBA players should avoid offseason workouts with stars from other teams. That would be unrealistic. Basketball culture is built on competition, respect, and shared knowledge. Great players should learn from each other. Young stars should seek wisdom. Veterans should pass the game forward. The deeper lesson is that leadership starts at home. If Kevin Durant wants this Houston chapter to be remembered as more than another late career experiment, he has to make sure the Rockets' young core feels his investment every day, not just in public, not just when cameras are rolling, but in the quiet moments that build trust. A conversation after practice, a film session with Sengun, a shooting drill with Jabari, a moment of encouragement when a young teammate misses 3 shots in a row and starts doubting himself. Those things matter. For Houston, the strategic path is clear. They cannot depend only on Durant scoring. They need a system where Sengun's creativity, Jabari's development, the veteran additions, and Durant's shot making all connect into one identity. That identity has to be built around trust, accountability, and shared responsibility. If everything becomes KD rescue basketball, the Rockets will hit the same wall again. But if Durant becomes the veteran who empowers the young pieces, Houston can become far more dangerous than people expect. The human lesson is just as important in sports as in life. Talent can create opportunities, but relationships decide whether those opportunities last. If there has been tension, address it. If there has been misunderstanding, repair it. If people feel overlooked, bring them closer. A peaceful locker room is not a soft locker. It is a strong one because players who trust each other can handle pressure without breaking apart. That is what Durant needs. Now, not another argument, not another online debate, not another defensive response. Just connection, real connection. Kendrick Perkins may have been harsh, but his message was simple. Mentor your own guys. Build with the people who are fighting beside you. Show Houston that this team is more than a stop on your resume, because when the season starts, Paolo Banchero will not be standing in that Rockets huddle. Sengun will. Jabari will. The teammates Durant chooses to invest in now may decide how far Houston goes later. If you believe Kevin Durant can still become the leader Houston needs, press 1 inch the comments. If you think Perkins exposed a real problem before the season even started, press 2. And if you want more NBA stories, locker room drama, trade update, and real basketball breakdowns, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with another NBA fan before the Rockets season writes the final answer.